The moment that I set foot in prison for the first time, the only words that came was, "Oh crap."
Left hand.
It was so scary.
Breathe, ma'am! Take the mask off! Take the mask! I can't breathe! Let it off!
World's toughest women's prison.
Why would y'all punch on me like that? For no reason. Like, y'all literally was just punching on me.
It began as a symbol of reform, a place meant to protect women from cruelty of the old prison system. But over time, that promise faded. The walls cracked, the dorms overflowed, and the line between rehabilitation and punishment disappeared. Today, more than 3,000 women live in a space built for 1,000.
That's why we have them chained. You can't run away from your problems. You have to work together to get it done.
They sleep in shifts and hang curtains for privacy that doesn't exist. A journalist once said that death row here looked more like a school than a prison. Flowers in pots, handmade curtains, women smiling as they waited to die. For years, they woke each morning, knowing the state would end their lives. Yet they still found reasons to keep living. Welcome to Philippines Correctional Institution for Women, the world's toughest women's prison. February 14th, 1931, Valentine's Day. While most celebrated love, 270 women boarded transport vehicles in Manila. Their destination, unknown to many. These were the first inmates of what would become CIW. Before this day, female prisoners lived crammed alongside men in the notorious Old Bilibid prison, facing conditions we can barely fathom today. The women ranged from petty thieves to those convicted of violent crimes. All shared one thing: they were forgotten by a system that barely acknowledged their existence. The Philippine government recognized something had to change. Act No. 3579, signed in November 1929, authorized the creation of a separate facility, a place where women could serve their sentences away from the violence and exploitation of mixed-gender facilities. The original compound sprawled across 18 hectares in what was then part of Rizal province. Lawmakers hoped this separation would protect female inmates from abuse and provide opportunities for genuine rehabilitation. Officials chose Mandaluyong deliberately, close enough to Manila for family visits, yet isolated enough to serve its purpose. The architects designed dormitories with single beds, common areas for gathering, and workshops for learning trades. Gardens were planted where women could grow vegetables. The facility was renamed From Women's Prison to reflect emerging trends in penology. The focus shifted from pure punishment toward correction and rehabilitation. For decades, this approach seemed to work. Women learned skills like sewing and handicrafts. They attended religious services and participated in educational programs. The facility maintained a semblance of order and purpose. Guards spoke of inmates who transformed during their sentences, leaving with hope for new lives. Then came a night that would change everything. In 1982, flames consumed the original building. Faulty wiring sparked an inferno. Women scrambled through smoke-filled corridors, their screams piercing the night sky. Reconstruction took over a year, but the fire would become only the first crisis in a series of mounting challenges that would define CIW's modern era. Walk past the maximum security compound and you might feel confused. An Asia Week journalist named Ron Gluckman once described the women's death row as appearing like a secondary school. He visited during an era when the Philippines still executed prisoners, and the stark contrast haunted him. Women condemned to die attended classes, tended small gardens, and decorated their cells with handmade crafts. They laughed during mealtimes. They lived ordinary lives while waiting for the state to end them. Death sentences in the Philippines ended with the abolition of capital punishment in June 2006. Before this, CIW housed women facing execution. These inmates experienced a unique psychological torment. They knew their exact fate. The state would kill them. The question was only when. Some waited years, decades even, watching other women walk to their deaths while wondering when their turn would come. Researchers interviewed 27 women who had served time on death row. Most were convicted of kidnapping or drug offenses. A smaller group, faced charges of murder, parricide, and arson with homicide. Many insisted on their innocence, with voices cracking from years of protest. When asked about receiving their death sentences, they recalled overwhelming fear and rage. Some couldn't eat or sleep for weeks after their transfer from jail to prison. Yet something remarkable happened within those walls. The women supported each other. They formed bonds that defied their circumstances. They shared food when they had little. They held each other during breakdowns. One woman, serving time for killing her husband in self-defense, helped tutor another woman's children during visitation days. These connections became lifelines in a place designed to isolate and punish. When capital punishment ended, their sentences converted to life imprisonment without parole. Relief flooded through the death row dormitories, but confusion followed. Many women misunderstood their new status.
I believe last time I feel a sense of belonging in prison instead of out there.
They thought life imprisonment meant automatic parole eligibility. Years later, some still wait for freedom they may never see. The death row block remains, now housing women facing different but equally daunting sentences. By January 2023, CIW held 3,297 women in a facility designed for 1,008, a congestion rate of 230%. These numbers don't capture what this means for the women living there. Former Bureau of Corrections officer Celso Bravo described the transformation. Dormitories with single beds vanished, replaced by bunk beds stacked too high, fitting 4 women in spaces meant for 1. Common areas where women once gathered for recreation became makeshift sleeping quarters. Every available meter got claimed. Privacy became a distant memory. In 2002, government statistics revealed CIW was the most congested facility among all 7 Bureau of Corrections units. While the infamous New Bilibid prison for men registered 85% congestion, CIW hit 90%. Officials tried expanding. They built an extension in 2003. They opened a branch in Mindanao in 2007. But Bravo admitted these efforts helped the issue of congestion, but did not solve it. Step inside today and you'll see the reality. Beds pressed against beds. Women sleeping in shifts because there's simply not enough space for everyone to lie down simultaneously. The air grows thick and stale, particularly during Manila's brutal summers. Temperatures soar, bodies crowd together, tempers flare over the smallest provocations. Yet somehow life continues. Women hang curtains around their bunks for a semblance of privacy. They display stuffed animals, family photos, and handmade decorations. Pink curtains, brown teddy bears, life-size Hello Kitty dolls. These small touches of normalcy combat the crushing reality of their situation. Over 20 NGOs work with CIW inmates, providing everything from Bible study to medical missions. There are too many women in too little space. Not all CIW inmates fit the same profile. Some arrive pregnant. Philippine law requires special provisions for expectant and nursing mothers. They receive prenatal care and deliver their babies under guard. Regulations allow them to nurse their infants for a limited time in prison nurseries before the children must leave. Others arrive for reasons that spark fierce debate. 11 women at CIW are classified as political prisoners. All come from peasant backgrounds or work as land rights activists. All face convictions for illegal possession of firearms and explosives. Many serve sentences approaching 40 years. They maintain their innocence, claiming persecution for their activism. One such woman, identified in reports as Bacalda, faced transfer to CIW in March 2023. Initially, isolation nearly broke her spirit. Then she found the other political prisoners. Together, they wrote songs and poetry. They organized campaigns for better food prices and improved jail conditions. Bacalda described CIW with chilling poetry. Women whose families abandoned them, who sit alone during visiting hours, while others embrace loved ones. In 2024, the Philippine National Oil Company brought care packages to 50 such inmates. Toilet paper, soap, shampoo, toothpaste, basic necessities many take for granted. Some women wept at receiving these simple items. Bureau of Corrections Director General Gregorio Catapang made an announcement in May 2023. Before 2028, CIW will close. The 15-hectare facility in Mandaluyong will cease operations. Inmates will relocate to regional facilities in Palawan, Davao, Mindoro, and Leyte. For some women, this means leaving the only home they've known for decades, the compound where they buried friendships, grief, and fragments of their former lives. Katapang told inmates they could bring their families to these new locations. The regional facilities have space. They're not congested. You'll feel like you're free, he promised. For women who've shared beds with strangers and fought for every meter of personal space, this promise sounds like fantasy. Yet some dare to hope. Others fear the unknown more than their current suffering. Transfers have already begun. In October 2023, 50 women from CIW arrived at Iwahig Prison and Penal Farm in Palawan. They underwent medical examinations, including pregnancy tests. Then they boarded buses to their new homes. The journey took them hundreds of kilometers from everything unfamiliar. But questions linger. Will these regional facilities truly provide better conditions? What happens to the women too sick to travel? What about those with court cases still pending in Manila? And perhaps most importantly, will history repeat itself at these new locations? Let us know what you think about CIW in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that reveal the unseen sides of our world.